First tale. She cared for some wonderful animals, and Ajani, a dedicated and enthusiastic zookeeper who worked at the renowned Kruger National Park in South Africa, had always been intrigued by them. Her love of animals had led her on an amazing journey, and each animal she had cared for had helped her forge a close bond with them all. Zuri is a specific lion that has a special place in Johnny's heart. When she was but a cub, she had already rescued Zuri and looked after her till she recovered her health. But because their connection had grown deeper throughout the course of their time together, Johnny thought she had a particular connection to the mighty cat. But Johnny felt compelled to engage in conversation with the group of watchers who had gathered close to the lion cage. On a sunny afternoon, she wanted to emphasize how close of a bond she had grown with Zuri. She should not have done it since she had been directed by warning instincts for years when Ajani went out to touch the lioness. Zuri originally seemed unconcerned as she permitted the small touch and kept her attitude of curiosity. On the other side, the lion's animal instincts abruptly surfaced. Z's attitude suddenly changed and became very primitive, instantly flooded her eyes. She made a blazing rush towards Ajani. In an attack position, she bared her fangs and extended her claws. Zuri leapt on Ajani and pulled her to the ground as the scared visitors stared in shock. What they saw really terrified them. The lioness unleashed a barrage of ferocious punches. In a synchronized onslaught, her strong jaws slammed down on Johnny's arms, legs, and chest. Immediately after the occurrence, the park's emergency process was put into place as the zookeeper's desperate screams mixed with the gasps and cries of people appalled by what they witnessed. Other employees arrived as swiftly as they could, with protective gear and darts, to tranquilize the animal. They braved the circumstance, unwavering in their resolve, tried to distract Zuri's attention, removing Ajani from her hands with care. Time seemed to stand still as they battled to free Ajani from the lion's clutches. Aja used all of her power to confront the agonizing agony and dreadful terror that were about to consume her. When Zuri was ultimately tranquilized by her colleagues using tranquilizers, the hapless zookeeper could be released from her grasp. The veterinary team came and started treating Johnny for her terrible wounds as soon as they got there. In a race against time, her body was covered in serious puncture wounds, shattered bones, deep cuts, and lacerations. In an effort to save her life, the medical staff labored non-stop to regulate her condition. Days went into weeks as Ajani fought through many procedures and a lengthy and difficult recuperation time. Her mental scars lingered for a very long time, although her physical wounds ultimately healed. Because of the shock to her own being, she started to doubt the importance of her connection with Zuri and her job as a zookeeper. Her colleagues, acquaintances, and even the visitors who had been there throughout the tragic occurrence showed their support for Johnny as she recovered. With their support and affection, she was able to find the fortitude to get over the upsetting event and rekindle her love for animal protection. Despite the mental and physical wounds she carried from the attack, Ajani came out of the ordeal with a renewed sense of purpose. She was determined to prevent such accidents from occurring in the future, rather than being based on familiarity and a feeling of imagined intimacy, so she became an advocate for better safety standards and training methods for zookeepers all over the globe. Over time, Ajani and Zuri's relationship evolved into one built on understanding and respect. They had less opportunity to speak directly to one another, yet their bond was still strong. Ajani realized that in order to really love animals, one must accept their fundamental instincts and their intrinsic actions. She recognized and loved Yuri's wild nature. Because of its compelling warning about the risks and obligations of working closely with wild animals, the Ajani tale gained widespread recognition. Her tale inspired a lot of individuals who care for animals to prioritize safety, respect, and knowledge while caring for animals. Ajani carried the wounds from her experience with Zuri as a daily reminder of the fragility and amazing force of the natural environment as she proceeded on with her job at Kruger National Park. Gianna is a fearless wildlife photographer in story number 2. A passionate tour guide took part in a remarkable experience in the wide African savannas. Together, they were on a safari. Gianna, a talented and passionate American photographer, traveled to Africa to use her camera to document the natural beauty of the animals there. Gianna left on her trek through Africa with expectation and enthusiasm in her heart. She set out with her trusty camera and a deep reverence for the creatures she wished to capture on video. Her intention was to record their lives. She had heard tales of the magnificence of lions that were rumored to prowl the broad plains, and she was resolved to trap them. The responsibility of following Gianna on her photography excursion was handed to a Peewee, a native tour guide with deep knowledge of the African environment. A Peewee had a deep respect for the creatures with whom he had lived his existence from infancy, in addition to being very educated about their routines and habitats in the area. Gianna and a Peewee set off on a journey together, searching for lions when they entered the heart of the savannah early one morning. In search of recent lion activity, they cautiously made their way through the dense grasses. They were led by Apo's professional instincts, and as the sun rose higher in the sky, their patience paid off. Beautiful adult male lion prowled out of the dense bush. Gianna prepared her camera to capture the magnificent creature in its native habitat as his golden mane flowed gloriously in the gentle wind. Her heart was beating fast with excitement. Gianna missed it since she was focused on her photography projects. The lion's actions had somewhat altered. The wonderful beast abruptly went from being peaceful and comfortable to stiff and concentrated. Gianna was taken aback as the animal leapt in her direction and clamped its ferocious teeth on her arm. Gianna's body is writhing. The globe seemed to become a suspended animation in torment. She lost her camera and it ended up on the ground. The lion's great might was overcoming her as she felt its fangs sinking deeper and deeper into her flesh in the face of the imminent danger. She had a feeling of terror as soon as she understood how risky her present circumstance was. When Gianna was in trouble, a P-wave responded instantly and intuitively by coming to her rescue. With a courage that comes from having spent his whole life traversing these untamed territories, he faced the frightening foe head. He could only depend on his wits and a good respect for nature, so he let out a series of animal yells and wildly waved his arms in the hope that the lion would be distracted from him. Gianna was able to release herself from the lion's grip when it briefly lost focus and let go of her. When she fell backward, holding her hurt arm, she was bleeding and bruised. She also experienced a combination of anguish and gratitude. The Peewee didn't allow the fact that the danger persisted stop him from making an attempt to protect Gianna and himself. A Peewee showed incredible courage and toughness. Gianna was able to make her way to safety as he skillfully led the agitated predator further and deeper into the savannah, with each step he made, drawing the lion's focus away from Gianna and onto himself. The minutes seemed like hours rather than minutes as the Peewee skillfully fought the lion, utilizing his in-depth understanding of the animal's habits to keep one step ahead of the animal. The Peewee's successful escape from the relentless pursuit of the beast was made possible by a mix of unrelenting determination and in-depth knowledge of the lion's behavioral characteristics. Gianna and a Peewee took cover inside a passing safari car. They sought solace there when they were worn out or hurt. Gianna's wounds received careful attention. I arrived right away following an emergency medical aid call. The lion vanished into the distance, leaving behind a disturbing reminder of how fragile the relationship between civilized society and the world's wild regions is. Gianna realized that the experience had permanently changed her. The event had left her with both physical and mental wounds, but it had also given her a deep appreciation of nature's might and unpredictable nature. Regarding a Peewee, she pledged that she would go on with her photographic endeavors in order to document the wonder of animals and raise awareness of the value of maintaining their natural habitats. Anyone who observed his unwavering courage and selflessness was aware of them. Due to his efforts, Gianna's life was saved, and he was also reminded of the significance of his mission to protect wild creatures. He had developed a love. He never ceased offering guidance and instruction, sharing his experience and emphasizing the value of amicable cooperation and environmental protection. Gianna's tale of her terrible encounter with the lion and fortunate escape would prove the existence of an unbreakable spirit in both people and animals. The fragility and beauty of life would be brought to people's attention, encouraging respect. Also protect wildlife's worth. In the third tale, a young girl called Jaya, who was just 14 at the time, lived in a small Indian hamlet by herself. Her father's name was Chandran, and she hailed from an agricultural family, who was reputed to be diligent. Although daily living in the village was simple, there were still some challenges. Jay was a bold and intelligent young woman. She loved the outdoors and often went to the vast fields close to her home, where she could find peace and quiet. Her father Chandran put a lot of effort into taking care of the crops and cattle in order to support the family. Jaya would regularly travel with him so she could learn the local customs. Evening, Jaya and her father arrived home, fatigued but happy with their work after a hard day at the office. The night was so stunningly beautiful, the sky so full of stars, which gave a lovely light over the plains below. Jem chose to spend the night outdoors beneath the stars. As she laid on the grass, she had a feeling of serenity come over her and allowed herself to be engulfed by it. Thanks to the lulling sounds of crickets chirping in a constant rhythm and the distant howl of a wolf, she slept off into a deep sleep. She was unaware that the environment was dangerous. A wild lion that had been pulled out of its native habitat was seen at night wandering up the village's periphery in quest of food. As luck would have it, Jaya's smell was detected by the lion. The lion quietly crept up on the sleeping girl after detecting the smell of an unarmed person. None of the people, who had slept off into a deep slumber, were aware of the danger Jaya, the lion, was posing as it got closer. Its strong muscles are getting ready to attack. The lion's roar was quite loud, but when it jumped on Jaya and tore through her, it broke the silence of the night. The terrible thing possessing Jaya still existed when she awakened. She battled for her life, terror taking hold of her. Her heart was pounding. She screamed for assistance, hoping without hope that someone would hear her and come to her aid. The sounds of her screams pierced the night's silence and reached her father. His daughter's desperate cry for aid woke him from sleep. In order to save his family from the lion, Chandran raced to the area with whatever weapons he could find. His body was blasted through with beer and adrenaline. He used every ounce of energy in the veiled effort to free Jaya from the lion's hold as he came face to face with the terrible creature. Chandra persevered through what felt like an eternity because of his unwavering dedication to his love for his daughter. Jaya was able to escape because he was able to force open the lion's jaws. As a wave of energy surged brewer, Jaya struggled to her feet and ran away from the threat. Chandran persisted on continuing the battle despite having cuts and bruises. By doing this, he drew the lion away from his daughter and deflected its attention. After being attacked, the lion grew enraged and turned its wrath on Chandra, biting and clawing at his body. The extent of his anguish was immeasurable, yet it was nothing compared to the intensity of his love for Jaya. Meanwhile, the commotion awoke the residents, who formed a coalition to protect their houses. They armed themselves with torches and sticks and made a commotion to distract the overwhelmed and bewildered lion. A sight of complete destruction and despair was left in the aftermath of the fierce beast's retreat into the darkness. Jaya was trembling with a combination of terror and relief as she fell into the arms of her fellow villagers. As she took in the image of her father laying on the ground, bruised and injured, tears welled up in her eyes. With the aid of the other villagers, they returned Chandra to the village in an effort to save his life. Chandran waged a valiant struggle to get well as the hours moved into days and the days into weeks. Jay had never abandoned him. Her love and appreciation for him filled her heart to the brim. The incident left a permanent imprint on their lives, serving as a daily reminder of the strength of their relationship and the frailty of life itself. Jaya and Chandra's village's residents looked up to them as role models because of the example they provided by exhibiting courage, tenacity, and community. They overcame hardship and emerged from the pit of despair, stronger and more together than ever. As a result, word of their tales spread far, serving as a reminder of the remarkable courage shown by a little girl called Jaya and her father Chand in the face of a terrifying peril. Those who heard their narrative, which is a tribute to the power of love and the triumph of the human spirit, would have it permanently carved in their hearts, forever. An Australian trophy hunter named Grey Grayson set out on a perilous expedition in the vast wilderness of South Africa. where the untamed savanna stretched as far as the eye could see, motivated by his insatiable appetite for adventure and desire to add to his collection of prized trophies. Grayson had his eyes set on the powerful lion, lord of the forest. Racing had developed a solid reputation as a skilled trophy hunter who traveled the globe in search of exotic and imposing creatures. But the lion had always eluded him, and he was determined to change that. His house in Australia was decorated with the loot of his adventures, standing as a tribute to his ability. Racing landed in South Africa with a small group of knowledgeable local guides and cutting-edge hunting gear. They pitched their tents close to the edge of a thicket that was frequented by a pride of lions. As he was ready to face the apex predator that had come to represent his passion, Grayson's self-assurance rose. The gang walked far into the savannah under the blazing African heat. Their eagerness sharpened their senses. As they followed the preacher's footsteps, Grayson's pulse beat with anticipation and anxiety. The guides urged caution, highlighting the lion's unpredictable nature and fury. But as the hours stretched into days, Grayson's resolve increased. His steadfast resolve to subdue the untamable beast guided every move he made. He had no idea that he was about to experience a terrifying situation that would put his abilities and survival instincts to the test. The party came upon a gorgeous lion as they ventured farther into the wilderness. Under the waning sun, his golden mane glistened. Immediately after his adrenaline rush, Grayson lifted his rifle, adjusted his sights, and took a shot. But before Grayson could fire, the lion rushed on him after seeing the threat. The enormous animal's claws tore into his skin, delivering shockwaves of excruciating anguish. In the midst of the commotion, Grayson yelled in anguish as he struggled to repel the lion's onslaught with physical might. Mani, a trophy hunter from South Africa who had been following the same pride of lions, resembled a guardian angel. To divert the lion, Mani quickly replied by shooting rounds into the air. Grayson briefly found relief as the beast was temporarily distracted by the ruckus. Mani, a seasoned hunter with years of expertise, ran towards Grayson, pushing him away from the raging lion's grasp, and the two hunters fled to escape. Mani understood that every second mattered. Their bodies were wounded and damaged, gritting their teeth in discomfort. Mani and Grayson separated and regrouped with the guides at a safe distance. Grayson recognized the cost of his passion, and the reality of the situation started to set in. When he stared into the mane's eyes, humility and thankfulness washed through him. Together, the hunters were able to make an emergency call, and a medical team soon came to treat Grayson's wounds. He would always be reminded of the tragic meeting and the humble lessons it taught him by the scars he wore. As a newfound reverence for the species he had previously hunted without mercy, Grayson made a commitment to devote his attention to protecting and maintaining these magnificent creatures. Grayson's experience became known across the hunting world as a sobering warning of the perils of going for trophies. Mani's altruism attracted notice as well because of how his deeds emphasized the value of unity and regard for the environment. Following the event, Grayson and Mani developed an odd relationship because they both recognized the need of maintaining the delicate balance between man and beast. Together, they became proponents of ethical hunting methods, devoting the rest of their lives to educating others and advancing conservation initiatives in the aim of protecting the majestic animals they had previously hunted so ferociously. A new chapter that spoke of redemption, humility, and the strength of togetherness in the face of hardship thus started from the depths of a horrific encounter. The tale of Grayson and man would serve as a warning for all time, warning future generations of the dangers of ruthlessly pursuing trophies without regard for the environment and its people.